And if you need to, please click the CC icon at the bottom of your screen to enable the closed captioning, which should be there. Let's see. Yes, okay. On English. Okay, can you, yep, now you can see. So I am going to hand it over to our board president, Inlandia board president, Nancy Melendez, to kick off the meeting. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Katie, and good morning, everyone. And thank you all for being with us here in person and via the little screen. It's so nice to see all these smiling faces, although we did have to say it was nice to be in person because we could hug one another. So everyone on the screen, I owe you a hug, okay? Next time we see you. So welcome and welcome. We're really tickled to have so many folks here with us today. Inlandia is a very unique organization, and I am so proud to serve as its president. You know, we talk a lot about diversity in our community, and we talk about inclusion, and our city states that that's what we are as a city. And I think this organization proves it more so than any other around, because we talk with everyone. It doesn't matter if you're housed or unhoused, if you're incarcerated or if you're out in public. We have programs for you. We will help you through things. We will help you to learn how to write through our wonderful workshops, and we have our workshop leaders with us this morning as well. So anything you could want or need to know about writing, poetry, a book, publishing a book, you can go from start to finish, from A to Z in this wonderful program, and it's free. Where can you hear that anywhere else? It's free, F-R-E-E in capital letters. So it's a wonderful, wonderful program, and no one heads it better than our executive director, Katie Porter. Thank you, Katie, for all the wonderful work you do. And of course, Janine, our programs coordinator, you will see these two out in the city at events 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week. So that shows their commitment to this group. Yes, sir. Excuse me, complimentary, because it is a compliment to you to come and a compliment for us to be able to offer the information. So what we have invited you here today for is to give your input, just as this gentleman did, and what we're doing today. But okay, I want to introduce some board members that are with us today. Lisa Henry, who is an art curator. Ooh, okay. I'll have to tell you that when I joined Inlandia, I thought this was just way too highbrow for me. Okay, because I'm like, oh, I don't really write. I'm not a poet. I can tell a few stories here and there, and that's about what I do. But once I joined and I saw, and I'm along, art curators, archivists, journalists, authors, poets on the board. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm just here. I'm just me doing my thing. But I have been welcomed in, and I have learned so much, and I've had a chance to take a class or two. I hope to be able to take some more soon, and it is a wonderful process. So I think, why don't we just go around the table and have everybody introduce themselves? Okay, and I'll take the microphone around, okay? Oh, want to start there? Okay.
We do, and I'm told we have to speak into the microphone very specifically, or the people on Zoom can't hear us.
Well, I'm Carlos Cortez. I was part of Inlandia from the beginning.
Robin Longfield, and I have been part of Inlandia as a student since 2017. Figured it was time for me to do something to give back.
I'm Thatcher Carter. I've been a student in Inlandia. I also teach at RCC.
Hi, I'm Ellen Estilai. I'm a writer, and I've been involved with Inlandia for as long as I've been a writer. I've been on the board, and I take classes, and I'm on the publications committee.
I'm Lisa Henry, and I had joined Inlandia a number of years ago, just kind of as a volunteer, just kind of helping out. I have not actually designated myself a writer, but I'm a reader, and I love writers and poets. And so I have been involved on the programming side, planning events for a number of years, and then recently became a board member. And I also had the steering committee for the Blacklandia series of programs.
Hi, my name is Larry Burns. I'm a writer and an artist, and I've been a groupie for Inlandia since their first publication. I've loved it ever since. I'm amazed that we're here today from its humble origins and how it's developed and evolved. And it's been really cool just to meet all of you. So good to be here.
Hi, I'm Deborah Johnson. Today's my first time to be here with all of you. And so I was a former educator, and so I knew of Inlandia for years through that avenue. And then I been working with the Art Museum Board. And so then I got to know a little bit more, and some of the individuals that like Lisa, you know, you see in multiple places in town. And so it's great to be connected. And I am an avid reader. I try to be a writer. And hello, it's great to see you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Anderson. And, you know, Katie and I have been in communication via email, and she invited us to come out today. And I've been really looking forward to it. I'm really excited to get more involved and learn more about Inlandia. I'm from the Model Deaf community, and I've been working closely with the city of Riverside. And we just found out some good news. The Model Deaf committee the name has changed to Commission of the Deaf for the City of Riverside. This just started. We'll be having our first meeting June 14th, and I'm more than looking forward to it and excited to where we can plan our roots and see how we can be involved in this process. Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Fingerl, and I am a writer. I'm an avid reader, and I've been a student at South New Hampshire University. And so I taught English with a lot of different consumers of mine. And I have participated in this event in the past with my poetry, and I had such a great experience, and I enjoyed being here at this beautiful organization. And that's why I decided to come back. Hello, everybody. My name is JD. And I'm just here to be here. This is my first time. So hopefully I can help out in any way I can and serve the deaf community however way possible. And I'm here to support my sister. And it's so nice to meet everybody.
Morning, everybody. My name is Judy Lee. I'm here mostly as a member of the public and a supporter of Inlandia programs. My earliest memory of sort of participating in Inlandia was when my daughter, who was at that time between 8th grade and high school, had taken an Inlandia workshop at Riverside Public Library from Ruth Nolan. And she was the youngest member of the class. She's now a graduate student at UC San Diego. I've also attended different well, not workshops, but programs, and I'm part of the Harada House Foundation, which had worked with Inlandia on some of the public programming that has been generated. And I am so impressed with how Inlandia participates in the community and brings a lot of experiences to people. So, and when I get the notices, I try to pass them on to some of the different listservs that I'm on. And I am a librarian at UC Riverside Library.
Great morning, everybody. I am a scribe of steroids. I met a lady years ago, Selena, and she inspired me of the power of the written word. I realized that when you do art, any form of art, you will live forever. Most people go through their lives that they're forgotten after a few days. But an author, I told my daughter, babe, when I'm gone, because I'll be gone one day, pick up one of my books and I'm talking to you. So the greatest gift you give somebody is when something that you make with your love. And to be a writer, you need to have two things going for you. Be pissed off and in love, and let it go. Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to start getting involved with Inlandia, a great institution that a lot of people don't know about. And everybody's writing a walking writer, but they're afraid to write. Oh, but I don't know how to write. Yes, you do. Well, kids don't like to write. Yes, they write all over the walls. Wait a minute. So writing is the most powerful form of art that you can go because it requires love and hate, regardless. Okay. But thank you, Lord, for putting me in touch with a great institute that we gotta expand it. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody, and God bless you. Like they say, you are an example how to live your lives or a warning. You decide.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here today. This is awesome. And as you have seen, we have some wonderful folks from the deaf community joining us today. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here and some wonderful interpreters who are helping us along the way. And so now that we're all here and we're welcomed and we know one another, I'm handing it over to Katie.
Thank you, Nancy. And we are privileged to be able to work with all of you. One of the things I wanted to do today and the importance of the advisory council is to get community input on both how we are doing and how we can do better. What kinds of programs are still needed, what we're missing. I specifically invited our friends from the deaf community in part because we did a wonderful event featuring deaf poetry. And we want to do more events like that in the future. And I also want to find out how we can be more inclusive with our writing workshops and other kinds of programs. So we are, we're here to find out from all of you how, what kinds of ideas. You all completed a survey before this event. And one of the comments on there was, where is the idea committee? I want to be a part of the idea committee. We are the idea committee. So I hope you brought all of your good ideas. Yeah, please. Oh, good idea. Hey, yeah, hi, unmute one at a time. How about, I'll call you out so you aren't all talking over each other. So how about I was recently here, but now is elsewhere. You want to tell us where you're at now?
Yeah, no, I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Previously, I was the marketing and communications director for the Reset Art Museum and the Cheech Center. And I am now here. I moved for love. And so things are fabulous on that front still. But I'm really excited to come back. I had previously been on Inlandia's marketing committee. So I'm excited to come back. So thanks for having me. And it's nice to see so many familiar faces. I miss you guys all so much.
Oh, we miss you too. And I was so happy when I saw you RSVP'd for this. Rose? Unmute, okay.
What, give me the question again.
Who are you and what do you do for Inlandia?
Okay, I am a workshop leader at the Goski Senior Center since 2020. Prior to that, after I retired in 2009, I wanted to write my life story. And I didn't know where to go because at that point there wasn't anything really scheduled. So the Goski allowed me to do writing your life story since 2009. And so I learned by doing. I create a syllabus every semester. We have 3 semesters a year, summer, spring, and fall. And at the end of each of the years, I create a writing booklet for the writers, which I self-published. This is the last one that I put together. And I'm working on doing one again this year. Like I said, it's been a pleasure for me to be part of the Inlandia since 2020.
Thank you, Rose. Kathy?
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, I have a cold. I'm Kathy Gudis, and I am what I'd call a fangirl of Inlandia. I do not see myself as a writer per se, But I really wanted to share that I regularly assign publications of Inlandia to my students at UCR, where I'm a history professor. And it's just been a remarkable way, and it's allowed me to develop a class on Inland Empire history that's called Race, Place, and Story. And that just gives you a sense of it. So I'm really interested also in the genre that I never thought I would be interested in, which is really because of all of you. And that's memoir. I'm not interested in writing it, but I've become really entranced by reading it, and then also asking students to read and also do that as assignments. So I'm here to, really here just to find out if there are other ways I can maybe support that. I feel like I haven't participated as much as in real life as I would like. And of course, now I have a cold, so you don't want me anywhere. Anyway,
Well-
thank you. Thank you for letting me participate virtually.
Well, we're very glad you're here. And I want to just mention history is part of our focus because we're all about stories. And history is nothing if it isn't story. So thank you, Kathy. Cindy?
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see all of you. I am a writer. I am a contributor to 5 anthologies. I am a workshopaholic. A lot of you have been my teachers, and I love you. And I've been with Inlandia, following along, carrying cookies for Katie inside elevators, trying to set up workshops when we used to do that a lot more. For 10 years, I've been around 10 years. And I've written a children's book. It's sold at exclusively, well, not exclusively anymore, at the Mission and Museum. It's called Mouse Wedding at the End. It's under my pen name, Cindy Lou. I am currently writing a book, and I am editing the second draft right now, and it's headed to the proofreader after that. It's called Sunny, the Woman Behind Dawn the Beachcomber. I was invited to write a column in the Press Enterprise when I found these books in my backyard, which led to me meeting the daughter, so that it led to this biography, and so we're co-writing it, and then also there's a documentary coming out. The producers reached out to me through that column, so that's coming out, and hopefully that'll be on Netflix this year. It's called The Dawn of Tiki, and also let's see, I think that covers it. I mean, I'm just a big fan of Inlandia. I cheer them on. I invite people all the time. I mean, I want a card that I can pass out and say, yes, you are a writer. Come to Inlandia, it's free. So thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And Renee?
Hi, I'm Renee Gurley, and I've been kind of off and on with Inlandia since forever, probably like 10 years, but I've been strong for about 4. I've taken a lot of workshops, wonderful ones. I do lead workshops as well. I'm working with getting started writing, which is super fun. I also was the editor for the Copper Mountain Howl and Joshua Tree. And so I'm happy to be here. And I've worked with Mill Tree as well. So I'm glad to be here. I love Inlandia.
And thank you, Renee. And Renee is our online person today. So if you need anything while you are in the Zoom room, just send a quick PM to Renee. And I have my cell phone here too, if you need something, but I may not notice it. We have a couple people in the room who don't have cameras on, but Hong Mi, are you available to chime in?
Yes, I have a camera on. I just want to not distract myself with my own face. Hello, everyone. My name is Hong Mi Basrai. I'm Inlandia's secretary for this term. And I am very honored to be on the first council meeting and to know what it is all about and to see all these lovely faces, and that it just warmed my heart to see so many people in support of Inlandia. I am also the author of a memoir called Behind the Red Curtain, the story of our family being stuck behind the lost Saigon for 7 years in our struggle to survive and to cross its closed border, the free word. I was a former student also of Ruth Nolan in one of in her workshop series. And if Ruth is listening in, thank you very much for helping me on my writing journey. I am also a student. I was also a student of Joe Scotco. So my relationship with Inlandia went back all the way 10, 15 years. And I'm very happy to be a board member to help to support this wonderful organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Hong-Mi. And the last time we were in this room was for an event around her book. And she read From Behind the Red Curtain, and it was her birthday. So we had lots of goodies, no donuts, but lots of other sweets. Joan, are you there?
If this had happened last weekend, I would have been on camera, but Zoom upgraded on Monday during a workshop I was in and shut the camera off again. So anyway, I'm here and I have been here with Inlandia since the very beginning. In fact, I met Hong-Mi in Ruth's class. In Carlos and many of the names that have been mentioned who are attending. So, and I'm thrilled that we're seeing so much emphasis on memoir. I've written in all genres and published in all genres, but memoir is what I taught for Inlandia, and also that's what my doctorate is a piece of memoir, and the dissertation. And I think that being able to have this platform that Inlandia provides for people to tell their stories, how important it is for people to be telling their stories and real stories instead of making up stories. Even though I love fiction, I'm in a world where there's such a divide right now. It's marvelous to have our stories be honored, and everything that Katie has done. And I applaud Katie's work over time. I remember when Marion was the leader, and we lost Marion, and all the changes that have happened along the way. And Katie has just really pulled it together and expanded everything with everybody's help. And it's just, it's a wonderful experience.
Well, thank you, Joan. I saw one other person who was in the room and then who dropped out, and she may come back, but I'll just mention Liz Gonzalez. I think she will be joining us. Liz is on our board of directors as well. And hopefully at some point today, our newest board member will be joining us on Zoom, Jonar Isip. And he is ill. He was going to be here in person today, but he woke up sick. So common occurrence these days. So with that, I am Katie Porter, if y'all didn't gather that. I have been with Inlandia since about 2009. I started as a volunteer. One of the first things I did was join in an advisory council meeting just like this. I went and I founded the first Inlandia literary journal online. I helped to build our publications program, and Marion, who was my predecessor and the first executive director of Inlandia, she developed breast cancer, and when she was going out for treatment, she asked me if I would kind of hold down the fort for her, and I did, and here I am. And I've been executive director for at least 10 years, maybe 11, depending on how you count them. 2012 And unfortunately, we lost Marion in 2015. We still think about her daily. She's a part of everything that we do. So she left me some very small shoes, but a big order to fill. Or I'm really proud of what we've done. So with that, I want to show you a little clip. There are a couple people who aren't here today from our staff that deserve shout outs. Kimmy Palacios is actually our longest standing employee. She was an employee before I was an employee. She's our administrative and marketing assistant and now our tech whiz. And she goes with us to our events. So when you see a live streamed event or one of our videos posted on YouTube, Inlandia has an active YouTube channel. That was Kimmy's doing. And then Maria Fernanda Vida Urzaga, she is our publications coordinator. She is not here today, but she is with us most of the time, and she's responsible for all of our publications. So, and we'll talk about that as we get going, but here is a little clip that Kimmy put together. This is highlights just from since January. No, I don't want to screw it up.
I've always had very positive kind of experiences sort of talking to people in Riverside, but I think certainly there's felt a lot to me to be a lot of room to maneuver in the IE.
They also took our pictures. We walked one by one, took our pictures. That was 10 years ago. So one of the wonderful things about aging is when you have old pictures behind you, they still appear with the column. And as one who turned 89 last month, I'd love to have a 79-year-old picture of me up on the screen. It's wonderful.
Oral tradition that you mentioned, like we might have to tell stories to our children and to our families and to our people and record them. There are other ways to move through the world, and to me, that sort of like that hammer of power. People think I'm gonna just like grind you, I'm gonna erase you. It's erasure. Like you mentioned that in your question, like you can't erase the memory of people who are so much bigger than this moment.
So that's a little sample of the kinds of things that we do. And hopefully some of them looked familiar to you because you've been to an event or two. So now I'm going to go through some slides that are the answers to some of the questions in recent surveys, even past event participant surveys, as well as our advisory council survey, just so we have a little bit of context and background before we go into our breakout sessions. So the email went out to everyone who was on the advisory council list, past and present, and we wanted to confirm continued participation, as well as just get a feeling for how we're doing overall. And it looks like overwhelmingly our advisory council feels we're doing an excellent job, followed by very good and a very small pie wedge of good. There's no fair and no poor in there. So yay us. Let's see. So I also wanted to look at the general membership assessment. So Inlandia is consists of members. Anyone can be a member, as well as our advisory council and the board and staff. So of the thousands of people who received this survey, only 58 people responded. And I updated this morning. It was 51, and I'm sure we'll get a few more. So a large percentage have been to fewer than 3 events. 3 to 5 events was the next highest percentage. 5 to 10 events, the third highest. And then 10 or more was actually the lowest slice of the pie, or smallest slice of the pie. And I thought it's interesting to note that the majority of our attendance is still via Zoom, which is new to us. Before the pandemic, we did not do a lot of virtual events. And now after, the pandemic is endemic. It's not, some things are not going away. And so we will continue to offer these hybrid and Zoom and virtual events. So, and I'm having to get used to this new kind of mouse. So forgive me for being slow with this. Okay. So how would you rate our in-person events? Vast majority gave us a 5, more than 50%. 5 was the highest score. Then 12 gave us a 4. We had 6, a half dozen gave us a 3. And then we have 1 outlier who gave us a 2. And almost the same breakdown for our online events. And would you recommend Inlandia to a friend? It was almost exclusively yes. Some of it was, it depends. So I suppose if your friend is not into stories, you might not recommend us, but and then we again had 1 outlier that said no, and they're always going to be that. So who are we serving? Overwhelmingly, we are seniors, followed by middle-aged. We've got a smaller percentage of what are probably a mix of millennials and Gen Xers. And then we even had 1 person, or I don't know if it's 1, but a small slice of the pie, under 18, who completed the survey. I know that we have some participants who are in the 18 to 24 range, but they did not complete the survey. So, and then looking again at our demographics, this is of course skewed by the fact that only a limited percentage of people completed the survey, but it is interesting to note that in a region that is not overwhelmingly white, that we have a large slice of the pie, more than 50%. So that's an area where we need to do better and reach out to all the community members in our region. So in addition to the advisory council, we also do something called strategic planning. You might not be able to read this right now, but after the event, I will be sending this around to all of our advisory council so they can get a closer look. But see, these are some of the goals that we set for ourselves through our strategic planning sessions. And this was what we had hoped to do in 2022 when we set a 3-year plan in 2021. And some of the things we have been successful with. We did do a 2nd year of Blacklandia programs. We have not really expanded participation into the South County, which would be Temecula and Murrieta. We have gotten the Eliud Martinez Prize off the ground. We do not have 100,000 YouTube subscribers. We did not add 100,000 to the budget, but we did add more to the budget. Donuts at all in-person board meetings. Does this count? I hope so. The board actually has been meeting exclusively on Zoom, so this is a nice treat to be able to see everybody in person. Expanded participation in San Bernardino County, that we have done. I'm happy to say we have a beautiful 2nd office in Upland that serves as our publications hub. It's the office that Fernanda works out of. And we are actively working on building our programs in San Bernardino. Having a fully inclusive advisory council and committee members. We are, that will be an ongoing challenge, but we are always adding members. Doing more with the Cheech. That is also an ongoing commitment, but we have done some programs with them virtually. Now we're working on doing some in-person programs. A fully functioning volunteer corps. That is something we have not gotten off the ground. We started working on this before the pandemic and it just fell away when everything went virtual. So we really need to boost that. I can't read the next one. Let's see, something program with docent program. Oh, thank you. Okay. No, we don't have a docent program. A lot of these were just ideas. The strategic planning session is also the idea committee. Salary increases for Katie and staff. I am happy to say that we did do that. So that's helpful. Increased staff hours, yes. But marketing person on staff, we're still working on that. Janine takes both roles, programs and marketing, and Kimmy is her assistant with that. And then, yeah, yes, but we also want I to be happy. Yeah, so we won't require her return to the Inland Empire. And holding an in-person members reception. We did that this year, finally, after a few years off. So that was a whole lot of fun. And the theme for that was transformation. You might have noticed, but the butterfly theme. And that was a great event. This was our SWOT analysis. We have a lot of strengths. We do have a lot of opportunities. I am happy to say that we do get continual funding now from the National Endowment for the Arts. And we've continued to do a lot of these programs. Some of our weaknesses is we need to build our board. So if anyone who's here today is interested in joining the board, please do speak up before we leave today or send us an email. We really need to be working on the business end of what we're doing. We, as you heard earlier, virtually everything is free. So that means we are limited in our funding to donations and grants. So finding ways to support our programs or have programs that are self-supporting is very important to our sustainability. So those are things to keep in mind when we break out into groups. Threats. I think these are pretty standard, but funding, that's always a challenge. Pandemic uncertainties that are insecurities, that is still a thing. It is very much still here, and things have changed. And then complacency. We can't rest on our laurels. There are always things that can be done. So those are, that's really where this first part of our meeting ends. I do want us to go into breakout sessions, but I want to give us a little break. Does everybody need a donut break and a coffee refill break? Okay, so let's take about 10 minutes, or how about 7 minutes? Let's come back at 10 o'clock on the dot and we will reconvene and we will go into our breakout sessions.
I left for a second. What's going on? Where's everybody?
We're taking a short break until 1, or we'll
Oh, okay.
over
Got
here,
it.
but until the top of the hour.
Thank you.
Renee, are you there? Ah,
Yeah, I am.
how's your book doing?
Well, I got an agent, but
Mhm.
then that agent kind of she never read my book. And
kidding.
she wanted me to write a screenplay, so I got stuck in the mud with that for about 3 years. So I'm going back. I'm a teacher and been busy, so I'm going to spend this summer polishing it, trying to find a publisher for it. I mean, it's done. It needs a polish,
Right.
and it needs about 2 more chapters. So yeah, I'm gonna because I've been focused on doing the other form of it. I'm going back and scrubbing that up.
Good, because I I'm really skeptical a lot of times because people will say, "Oh yes, I'll pick up your book. Oh yes, I'll do this."
Right.
They don't do Shinola.
She
And
didn't do anything.
so I'm very much of a like watch keeper on that, and if you're not doing what you said you're doing, then what you said you were gonna do, then I'm moving on,
Right.
and so I'm really glad to hear that, because your story needs to be told, and it does, and just because someone wants to lure you, shall we say,
Right.
so I'm glad to hear that you're doing that. Have you been in any excuse me, of the little sessions that they've had regarding publishing here in on Inlandia?
Well, I wanted to do that one that was on June 1st, but I had to miss that.
Well, it's just that they have small publishers. Now, I originally I was the one that started the emphasis in Inlandia on self-publishing.
Cool.
Because when I looked up from when I was working on my I was writing an article, writing something, and I looked up all the stats and how many women were cut out of the publishing process because they were women.
Oh.
It was almost all men.
Mm-hmm.
And even the book reviews, the columns were all by men. And so and then there were some famous, like what's her name, J.K. Rowling or whatever, who decided, I forget this, I'm going to publish on my own, I'm going to make my own stuff. But I was the one that was the emphasis behind the very first workshop that Inlandia had regarding self-publishing, how to self-publish.
Mm-hmm.
And Kindle, and I've done all of mine so far. I mean, I haven't been the best promoter, et cetera, but I don't want to lose my copyright, and actually, I think it was Susan Orleans that was the she wrote the one about the orchid thief and the book lover. She's very popular.
Well,
And she was the one that I think one of the very first that said, no, I'm not going to let you publish unless I get the copyright. I keep the copyright. And she had published other
welcome.
things,
Thank you
but
for
she
coming.
stopped and said, I want the copyright. And she did it. So the Rin Tin Tin book that she does, and then that started becoming much more popular with the women, you know, like, no, I'm going to maintain my copyright. And also men, but men, they were giving it to men more, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
So
Okay.
I'm just very, okay, so people might not hear about my stuff a lot, but I
okay.
still own my stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we're still going to be looking up there for the
Right.
moment.
And
Yeah, it's a messy game.
I've been doing a lot.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, there we are.
We should have tea
More
one day.
later.
Hi,
And
everybody.
I'm working on that.
I would like to talk to you more about that.
Yes, catch you later.
Okay. Whoops. Can I get your attention? Oh, yes. Cindy, I see it. Hello, everybody in person and online. I'm going to stop the screen share. We are going to start going into our breakout groups. I'll give you a little bit of prep. But first, we're going to take a picture. If you are in the Zoom and can turn your camera on, Janine's going to take your picture. And everybody in the room, if we can all look toward the camera. And we'll try and all be in, this is our version of a selfie. Oh. Uh-oh. Did we get it? Okay. Yay. Okay. So everybody who is on Zoom, I sent out some things this morning. Okay. We're going to do some breakouts, and I'm hoping that we can do 2 different breakout sessions. So we might, because we're done at 11 o'clock, we might have to change our time frame a little bit. But the first breakout session, we have 3 groups, but since our online friends are not a huge group like I had anticipated, I was thinking it might be 20 or 30 people based on the RSVPs. I think you can maybe discuss all 3 things, or you can pick one and maybe pick one for the first breakout session and then pick another one for the second. Actually, no, I take that back, friends online. Do all 3 for the first because they're separate. They're 3 different things in each. So we're going to be talking about assessing our accessibility. How are we doing? This is for everybody now. One of the things in your packet is our brief accessibility checklist from the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts. This is our goal, is to be meeting these standards for all of our events. And because we get funding from the NEA and the California Arts Council, we need to be sure that we are doing these things. A handful of them we have not implemented yet. So we need to figure out what next steps we can be doing and how are we doing on the things that we are doing, like today. We also have boosting books. So by that, I mean, I've included our publishing policy, which gives an overview of the kinds of things that we publish. That includes books. It includes a weekly newspaper column. It includes our online literary journal. And it includes our chapbooks that are specific to certain projects, especially those with teens. So I would like to know if you have ideas for publications or ways that we can help to promote the books, or ways that we can not just market the books, but sell the books, all of the things. Any ideas? You are the idea committee. I will take all ideas. And then for the pumping programs, that's like our events. What kinds of programs are we missing? Who are we missing with the kinds of programs that we are offering? How can we improve what we are doing so they are more inclusive and accessible and inviting to everyone in the community? And just as some reference materials, so if anyone is thinking about joining one of the committees, there is a sheet that has the descriptions of each of the standing committees. And for those, you don't have to be a board member. Any member of the public can be a part of one of these committees. So please just have a look. So that is our first breakout group. So for the folks in the room, we have, let's see, why don't we count off, and I'll start, 1, 2, 3 will correspond to ABC. So if you're a 1, you'll be in the accessibility group. If you're a 2, you'll be in the boosting books group. And if you're a 3, you'll be in the programs group. Okay, so I'm going to start with Nancy. 1, 2, Carlos. 3, Robin. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, sure. 1. Is that okay? Yep. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So all of the 1s, how about we come to this side of the room? All of the 2s, just group together. Maybe over here. Are you a 2? Okay, so everybody stay right there. Everybody come to Ellen. And then all of the 3s go to the far end of the table. No, far end of the table. So
So I
okay.
think I'll put us in groups of like 2 groups. I'll put you in 2 groups. Sound good? And we can discuss
Yes.
this.
So
But we're all talking about all 3.
All in one group,
Yeah.
aren't we?
Got it,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. See automatically. All right.
I think.
And Hung Mai, there'll be a picture on your screen and you can just click on that. All right.
Okay, something went wrong because I was with one person.
Yeah. With MJ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you with MJ?
Yeah, it was, I mean, aren't we all one group, the Zoom group?
No, I think we're splitting into 2 groups.
2 groups, but not groups of 2, 2
Yeah,
people.
yeah, 2 groups. Well, there's one group of 3 and then you are a group of 2 and then I'm going to jump in there.
That's interesting. Why are we doing that? How many are in their groups?
There's 3. Should we all, you want to work together?
Yeah,
That's
let's.
5?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
Okay,
I thought it was kind of like one person.
okay.
I think I see like 6 over there and I see 4 over there. So I think our total group is fine.
Okay. So Cindy, when is Don the Tiki thing getting done?
I am on at the end of it. I've already had it edited twice, so I'm working on tracking right now, and it's headed over to my proofreader. And all these people were given to me by an author that has 20 books. He
Wow.
believes in the project. He knows people in old Hollywood that are interested, and he's going to give the manuscript for a blurb to someone who has 2 million followers. And he knows her personally. She's been a part of Hollywood, and she's a producer of like Annie. And anyway, so he's gonna let her read it in hopes of a blurb and a shout out. So I have so much support now. I found my support.
Cool. I'm glad about that.
Yeah, and he gave me his editor and his proofreader.
Wow. That is cool. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited.
Documentary, I'll be in it as a cartoon character in the background, and if you blink, you'll miss me. But I think I'm going to be in the bar scene with Sunny Sun because she's in they animated it with Disney. So it's a huge thing. It's coming out this year.
That is so cool. I'm excited about that.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Renee, we were kicked out of the breakout room.
Well, the other group wanted everybody in here because it's kind of a small.
It's a good
That's
group.
okay. So
Why?
yeah, so did you guys get
the screen now? Why is this on the screen?
Because I'm going to take notes while you guys
that's
talk.
you. Okay, so okay.
So first question, assessing accessibility.
Oh, okay.
And then boosting books and then pumping programs. That's what we're going over today. So assessing accessibility, I see on here it's physical also because of the National Endowment of the Arts list. But how do you guys feel about that?
I think I'm very fortunate that I was able to secure a spot at the Goski Senior Center in that they publicize the writing class on their monthly pace setter program. In fact, I had to basically limit how many people want to attend the class because of the size. So only because it is in person and we only meet for 2 hours, and the writers want an opportunity to get feedback after they read their stories. But as I said, the Senior Center has been very accommodating, like I said, since 2009. And again, they publicize the class every single month.
Yeah, the same thing happened, and as I'm sure you know, with Janet Goski out in the Senior Center in Redlands, and Mae Wagner has been doing that one for years and years and years, and she has to close it down. I mean, keep a limit because it's so popular. But I can't. You know, I can't, when somebody's, maybe you can help me understand this. When we're doing what we're doing right now online, I can't get back to the sheet that tells us I can't get back to other information.
So I guess she emailed you that information.
Is that the project physical access? Is that what we're looking at?
So this is the selecting committees, but she sent this email this morning.
Right, I downloaded them, but I can't get back to them when I can't get back to any of that when I'm, now it's on is it on Microsoft Start where you are?
No, just using Microsoft Word.
Well, now my screen went to see, I'm not even touching my screen and it goes around to do other things. Now it's on Microsoft Start. I've never even heard that.
I never have either.
So there we go. I shut that. Okay, I closed that down. Now I'm on your where you're writing. Okay, accessibility and natives, LGBT more breakout session 1. Oh, good. You did the what the breakout group sessions were. Okay.
One of the things that I notice is that basically it's hard to attract males to the class. Right now, I only have 3 males. The rest have always been females, and wondering if how we could maybe get more males involved in writing their stories.
I'm wondering if you would need some sort of partner, older men in particular. I think they prefer to be around other older men. So I'm wondering if there's if there's someone in your that in your environment who would be a male who would be willing to get even a couple of other guys, together to come and then go from there. Because I think most people, writing, especially in this society right now, but writing is considered much more of a woman's function, and even though it's the men that make the big money and the men that run and control everything, you see. So the men can have the control of it all, but we have some men in our group on Wednesday night in Victoria Waddle's group, and it's really nice. The guys in there some of them are younger, some of them a couple older, and it's a good mixed group. But I think that at a senior center, you might have to see if you can get a man who would be willing to start out, getting some other people. But
they participate in a lot of activities at the Goski, but somehow they don't seem attracted to the memoir class, because I see them in bingo, I see them in all the other activities. So I think it's kind of, it's publicized. It's just, I don't know, like I said, but I would like to see more, more of a gender, expand the genders in terms of writing their stories.
My idea is, I think since you're mentioning memoir or poetry, I think, or writing about personal person stories, I think it's the men tend to stay away from revealing their inner thoughts and inner emotions, and are not used to that kind of revelation. So maybe in our memoir class, we can even have a session that involves the news back then, or like what affects them through the news. So it is more neutral that way, and from then on they can review on their era, their time, or the stories that involve the time through the news, the news articles or something like that. I think we did a session like that through Joe Costco's workshop, that we used news articles to talk about ourselves. And I think that can attract them that way. It's less personal.
Hi, everyone. I have a suggestion also. Those are all good points. I'm just going to bring up the physical part of accessibility as a disabled person. I would really appreciate if there was more direction as to where to park at all these events, because they're all over downtown Riverside. And a lot of times I have to think, how can I get there, or where can I park, or maybe a little bit more for the disabled that have to, maneuver through the situation in downtown. I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, I'm just gonna do the accessibility, the physical part of it, which is also part of the National Endowment List project, physical access. So I just thought I'd add that in with all the other good points that you're making. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. And what about, I haven't been to any of the live ones, but have they had sign language interpreters?
That I don't know. That's a good idea.
So I was just at an event and they had just showed up and they interpreted our event. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
Yeah, I would say that in terms of that list, I mean, just looking at the setup of the space in there right now, I don't really see much in the way of that integrated wheelchair access in terms of integrating them into it. You know, basically anyone who would come in a wheelchair would be basically forced to either the ends, kind of, right? I mean, not sure whether or not wheelchairs could or could not, like, you know, slide either under the table or, you know, or they would have to be off to the side.
Right.
In terms of even an audience, you know, like if it's an audience thing, I mean, obviously we don't want to put all of the wheelchair, you
Right.
know, in the back per se or something like that. So just something to be mindful of in
And
that regard.
Holly, and to add on to that, according to the pie chart that we just saw, or whatever the survey she took, it was like 60% over 70,
mhm.
right? So I
Yeah.
just might add that in.
In terms of like just another opportunity for accessibility, I mean, I love the fact that yes, we're reaching out to the deaf community, but when I was working with the art museum, we did a lot of work actually with blindness support services. And you would think, you know, obviously, you know, visual arts wouldn't be for, you know, the blind or low vision, but they're just as interested in it and needing that outlet for creativity as anybody else. And so I have to imagine there would be the, you know, blind and low vision people in our community who would also really like that opportunity to be able to, you know, to write, to be creative, to possibly get published, or even just to read. But so how would we make that work?
Yes.
You know, is that an opportunity for us there?
Well, one of the things, I'm partially deaf, and one of the things that deters me from going different places for different events is that the sound, you cannot hear. There are, one of the reasons I really loved meeting at the old library when we were at the, and I mean the old library, when we first started out with Ruth, and we were in like the downstairs room around a table, and it was closed and everybody could hear everybody. Then if you get into a larger place, the sound bounces around there. It's like nobody ever heard of anything called acoustical building. You know, back east now in where you are right now, Renee, I'm sure that you find in Boston there are places where you can hear a pin drop in any place because they were much more attuned to building with so that people could hear. But here there are so many places I don't go because there's no reason to go because I'm not going to hear anyway. You know what I mean? Even though I could hear if I were sitting across from them or hear across the room, a small room. So I think that's an important thing, is that where how it can people hear even if they're presenting and it doesn't have to be sign language. I don't know sign language, but
Good point.
I do wonder if there's any sort of grants or anything involved for things like that, because I have to imagine that there'd be a way to do something where you could buy, you know, like hearing assisted, like, you know, devices where they could then hear the speaker. You know, you could hand these out to people, you know, when they come in, so that way they can have like a personal listening device of some sort that would, you know, hook up to the audio of the event. You know,
but it also has to do with more than technology. I'm in a writing group that the leader speaks so fast and mumbles so at times. It is very, very, very frustrating for me, and I don't want to keep interrupting, and so I don't. So I just glide along, and because I want to be part of the group. I really like the group, and I like some of the things that the person says, but when we are presenters, when we are teaching, we need, or talking to each other even now, we need to be to talk clearly, loudly, and enough so that people who are hearing impaired, or even just, as you get older, blah, 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 you want to be able to understand people. So I've always thought that one of the things that we need in Inlandia is offer a speech class, how to present your work.
Yes.
How to teach, how to present, and how to present your work, because so many people, they read, like Omega 1800 EPA, that's how they read when they're reading. And you need, I took a speech class in high school, it was one of the most, and I grew up in performing. So it's very important that you be able to get your message across to people. So if we could, I would love to teach a speech class, even though I'm not a speech class, in terms of how to present your work. And and read with inflection, and read clearly, and enunciate. So I think that's, and when you talk about accessibility, I think that we need to take our responsibility as readers and speakers and writers, so that our listener understands us. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'd like to offer something for pumping programs. I recently witnessed an unbelievable it was an event done at the Cheech, and they were more interactive with the audience in clapping, asking them to clap, get up, move, dance.
Would you be interested in having these authors? Or
I don't know who's talking.
The meeting room.
Oh, okay, so just more interactiveness in the events, like more participation from the audience. They remember it more. They remember it if they're clapping, if they're pumping their arms. It's just something to get people going.
Right.
Part of the concern that I have, that most of the workshops are Zoom. I'm the only, there's me in person, and I think the one in Redlands is a hybrid class. So I think some of those issues, are coming with Zoom in terms of being able to participate. I always begin my class with an icebreaker to get, get the juices going. And that the syllabus helps, because I put a semester syllabus, so you know what to expect each of the days that we meet.
Yeah.
But I always try to do a little, how you doing? Let's, if you could be a flower, what flower would it be, and why would you be that flower? To get them started. So I think if there were more in-person people, workshops, I think it would be helpful.
I love the idea of a songwriting. Oh, where'd we go?
Start wrapping it up.
Oh, well, we haven't even talked about promoting books yet. And I think when one of the things that I know that we used to have books at events. And so there's the online, or there's the bookshop online, but I had suggested Katie asking Dinaz's family if we could have some of her books, so that we could promote them and have them, because I know a lot of people who want her poems, and she's but to my knowledge, the only way right now is to have people ask the family. So also I have books. To my knowledge, Inlandia, it only publishes or only sells books that are published by Inlandia. Am I wrong? Are there other books that are published by or authors? Like, let's say Renee wants to publish her book, but under her own name.
Hey, folks.
Okay, we're reconvening.
Hi, Renee. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but I don't want us to lose track of time. Okay. If we're all ready, we're all of our groups 1, 2, and 3. Okay, guys, let's If you want to stay in your spot, that's great. But let's go through and report on our findings. What are our ideas? So our friends on Zoom, does someone want to take the lead and report on what you guys discussed? And let's just give it to us in brief, because I don't want to run out of time. But somebody please do take notes and send the notes to me later.
Okay.
Renee's our leader.
All
Oh,
right.
yay.
So we talked about, and I won't talk your ear off, but accessibility, we talked a lot about getting perhaps sign language interpreters to blind and low vision, considering that group of people. Also getting more males involved, especially in the memoir writing workshops at the senior centers, maybe having some kind of Iron John workshops. With the boosting of books, we talked about creating a space where all of the authors that have books, that to make them available, like Dinez that was with us, that isn't with us, like where to get her books, etc. And then pumping programs, more publishing classes, and also a workshop on how to present your work, like how to share your work, more interactive workshops, veteran workshops, perhaps a songwriting workshop. So that's where we were going.
That is all excellent. Great ideas. We do have an Inlandia Festival of Books in the works for 2024. So that's good news. So we're all on the same page there. I love that. Okay, so let's go to, I think you guys were group 3, right? Okay, programs. Okay. Oh, and here, actually, you need a microphone, or they can't hear you online. Okay.
We talked about the power of connecting with students, and because we saw in our demographics, we tend to be older, it's important that we engage our youth in give them the confidence in their writing. There's so much coming out of the pandemic with students, and they're angry, they're alienated, they're alone, and we have great power to be able to use writing for them to really help them through that, and to develop their writing skills. So we talked about that and how to reach them, whether it's going into schools, whether it's connecting with the Riverside Art Museum and their education program. And that would be a group that maybe we could tap into to help us explore that, so that we could better develop the program, right, of what we were, but bringing that youth to youth, and making sure that our programs are designed for youth and for our different ethnic groups. So for example, we were talking about AAPI month would have been a great month to have an Asian or Pacific Islander presentation to speak, so that everyone can see themselves in different presenters, whether it's the genre, their ethnicity, wherever they're coming from, they can connect and to really help with that. And then we talked about some of the ways that we can get the word out. And so we were talking about KVCR will do an interview. If you have some key people you want to interview, they will do it, because I got interviewed myself at the Art Museum, so I know they'll do it. It's very easy. They're very helpful with that. We also talked about we weren't sure about this, but strengthening our ties with UCR and RCC, San Bernardino Valley College, of course, Cal State San Bernardino. And then getting on, I don't know if we're on the city, they have a things to do in Riverside. I don't know if we already connect with them, but that's a really good way to get out the word. Social media and who's doing that for us, and making sure that we're asking our members to like and share and just promote the programs. And also we talked about there's a new newspaper. It's an email newspaper called Riverside Raincross Gazette, and I have to give I credit because she's the one who told me about it. And it covers things that you'll never see in the press enterprise, and it's all very local. And they have just opened up where you can advertise your event for free. And he puts together every Sunday, he sends out this, and it goes right into people's email, and it's free. And I'm a member, and I'm happy if you want me to just promote that, I can, just send them our things to do. But the idea is that it wouldn't cost anything. So what are ways that we can promote what we're doing so that more and more people hear about it, and that we attack that younger and really building programming for all people here in our community. Oh, the Rain Cross Gazette. Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Our group was talking about boosting books. And, before the session started, Thatcher and Carlos and I were talking about touring books together. And so the first item we came up with was a roadshow book tour. Because Inlandia has about 6 books coming out in the next year. And that's a lot of writers, a lot of really good writers. And plus there are, a couple others that were published last year, Ladybug and Pretend Plumber. 8 people who could form the core of a roadshow, going out to bookstores within driving distance. That means LA as well, San Diego, and also libraries and high schools. We talked about a high school program that would involve a writing component for students. Our first task would be to develop the costs for it, and then to look for grants, maybe Poets and Writers, California Arts Council, Cal Humanities. It's a great way to brand the program even more, to get the word out about Inlandia, and also to get a larger audience for our books. Then we also talked about a program which would allow people to donate books. Our supporters would be able to donate books to school libraries and university libraries, or perhaps, I guess university libraries have a bigger budget, so that wouldn't be as much of a problem, but to local libraries in general. We would ask supporters to donate books, to buy them and donate them to their local libraries, which would be, all over this 2-county area. Cal Humanities might also support that. And then, I don't know if you guys know about this, but there's a program in the Riverside Public Library called the Zip Books program, whereby library patrons can request that the library buy a book, and it comes from Amazon to your house, and then you have it for 2 weeks, and then you return it to the library, which is, and we could get our supporters to ask them to buy Inlandia books under this program. That would also be a great help. And Katie talked about a pre-order campaign that she's working on. And maybe you want to talk about that one.
Well, I see those things as working in tandem. So for instance, if we had a pre-order campaign that allowed someone to select a local library, just tell us which library you want to donate and books to. And for X amount, say $50, we will donate 3 copies of the book to that library in question, and you will get a copy of the book for yourself. So that would be a way to get books out into parts of the community that we don't necessarily see. It could be Northern California, it could be Nashville, it could be, or Chattanooga, sorry, wrong city. Or, it could be Landers or wherever. I think it's great that we're all coming up with these ideas. Lots of good ideas today.
Yes, so many good ideas. Thank you. Okay, who would like to speak with this group?
Well, we had a definite wonderful opportunity of working with members of the deaf community right here. So we posed the question, what could Inlandia do to help the deaf community become a part of this program in workshops and in all sorts of ways to help them, to help incorporate this and be inclusive. And the suggestions were to have interpreters, as we do today. Thank you for being here. And in visual presentations, to have closed captioning, and to have the interpreter on screen in the Zoom meetings, and also live captioning. And perhaps that those attending via Zoom would have an agenda with a summary, not just an agenda item, but with a small description as to what is expected or what is the expected conclusion of that item, to give them a little background. And we talked about having perhaps writing workshops for the deaf exclusively, featuring a published deaf author, so that there is a role model to look up to inspire them and to get the creative process going. We also talked a little bit about the fact that the general public doesn't realize that ASL does not translate word for word into English. And that's a huge thing. I know I didn't know. I confess that I had to learn through a family member joining us. So, and then we also made some great contacts with RCC, and I'm going to turn it over to Thatcher so she can tell you about that.
Well, we've already hired Ryan. That we have students in our RCC classes that have interpreters, but we haven't gotten to the point of having a deaf class to work really as English as a second language. And so Mike was telling us about Mount San Jacinto is actually doing quite a bit of a better job, so we have to compete with them.
Well, I really love the idea of a writing workshop specifically for our deaf community members. I think that would be fantastic, where you can write it in ASL and perform it, and maybe also write it in English so that it can be presented in both forms, if that's a possibility. And I would love to find out how we can work with the students at CSDR. I think that I was really impressed with the storytelling winners last year. I think the ASL story signing, and I would like to know more about that. And I would like for Inlandia to be more involved with that. And I'm sorry that I don't have more ideas along those lines, but I just know that I want to invite in those students. So if you have ideas for how we can make our programs accessible to the youth who are in our community, we have lots of programs for teens. I want to make sure that they know that they're welcome, and we need to, yes.
I would like to add to that. We don't have to limit necessarily to California School for the Deaf Riverside, but we also have deaf children mainstreamed into public schools too, or these hearing students can have deaf parents. You know, Poly High School's one, we have King High School, and they finally have ASL classes implemented. So there's more than one institute that we can invite into our future plans.
Absolutely. I wasn't even aware of those as options. So that's where my learning journey is still, I'm still at the beginning of that. So I had hoped that we would have time for a second round of breakouts, but we don't. I would like for us to go next into more of a Q&A, and we can talk about some of these things that we would have covered in the next breakout session. For instance, we really need to get our volunteer corps off the ground. If anybody here has a specialty in organizing volunteers and would like to assist with getting a volunteer corps going, especially as pertains to events, helping set up for events. Nancy? Ah, I would love any and all of that.
Another idea is to be doing a public book club. That's another kind of way that we could try to do that and get volunteers involved.
I like that idea. I have wanted to see Inlandia books and book clubs. That's something that we haven't tried yet. We've never done a book club for all of our years. So book clubs, I tried to get something started at Cellar Door because they have so many book clubs, like an Inlandia book club or a local authors book club, but that didn't get off the ground. Maybe in their new location, I can revisit that. And as far as I was going to say taking advantage of the high school students, but that doesn't sound right. That's not what I mean. I mean, using those, the community service hour requirement to bring in some students. I think that's great. We have had a challenge doing outreach to high schools. We will do better before the next school year. And that's something that we are working on. We have a contact thanks to Nancy, who is the communications director with Riverside Unified School District. It just requires planning ahead because it has to be presented in both English and Spanish. So it means having 2 sets of graphics created and allowing a little more lead time. I would also like to see us getting more of this information out to not just RUSD, but Alvord Unified School District and other school districts in the community, as well as with CSDR and any other schools, private schools. Jose? No. That's something that we have to work on. That yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jose. And if anybody's interested in getting that information about the book festival at the Janet Goski Center, either see Jose after the session, or if you send me an email, I can forward it on to you. And actually, I can forward it on to everybody as part of our post-event communications. So does anyone have any questions that, or anything else that we want to talk about as part of our advisory council? How are we doing? What can we be doing better? Good idea. More high school involvement. Any other comments from our friends online or in the room?
I'm really kind of focused on veterans this year. And I know that Cal State San Bernardino at the Veterans Success Center has one heck of a writing program. Yeah, just veterans. So
where did you say has a heck of a writing program for veterans?
Cal State San Bernardino.
Yeah, okay.
They have a website called Written by Veterans, but they're doing some wonderful writing workshops. I want to do that up in Copper Mountain and Joshua Tree because we're right next to 29 Palms. But like, yeah, just Inlandia, I would love to see that. So
I think that's excellent.
It occurs to me that some of the things that we would just love to do might be significantly impeded because of the conflict right now regarding book banning and you know, all of the things that are going on regarding what people, if we feel like librarians being jailed and all that kind of thing. So I'm wondering if we'd like to do a lot more than we're doing, and under normal circumstances, we could do it. But I think that if some of the things that we're talking about regarding with high schools and that we might run into obstruction, shall we say.
So I agree in principle, but that we will not let anything like that deter us.
Good.
We will just do what
Yeah.
needs to be done. As a preview for Arts Walk in the coming season, which we're dark in July, but it will be back starting in August. We have Arts Walk events across the street at the library, but now the Civil Rights Institute in this room is open during Arts Walk, as well as the Center for Social Justice, which is right around the corner. So we are these three organizations collaborating, and this year's theme, while it is for writers and focused on writers, but it has a social justice angle. We are doing an event on book bans, and we're also doing an event around the graphic memoir as a voice for social change.
Oh, that's great.
So things like that. So those are things that are on our mind. We tend to try to respond to whatever the current circumstances are.
Also, one other question, Katie. I know that, for instance, the San Bernardino County Library System, in order to even go and to have a speaker at a library, it takes like 9 months for approval to have that happen. I'm wondering if what might be a good, I don't know if it would be easy to do, but I'm wondering if Inlandia could like hold the slot at different San Bernardino County libraries on their agenda 9 months in advance. And I don't know how to explain it, but you know, just for me to go and talk to the to present a program at the local library, Wrightwood, it takes 9 months to get approval for that program so that it gets on the schedule. And I'm thinking that if that's the kind of procedure, which it is across the board for San Bernardino, is there a way that in order to avoid that, Inlandia could set up something and say, well, please write us in for a presentation such and such, and then we'll fill in the presentation as it comes, you know, as it comes along. But it's a significant deterrent we can do things for the Friends of the Library and present to the Friends of the Library, but if we have an author that comes to town, or we bring up an author from somewhere else or just us, it takes 9 months to get approval.
So Joan, send me an email about your ideas, and then we'll talk about that later. And then we've got a couple more comments and then we'll have to wrap up.
Okay.
So Ellen and then Carlos.
I'll be brief. I was really happy to see at the members reception a couple weeks ago, the inclusion of the teen poets. And there was also another young woman who talked about a transformative experience. I can't remember what her name was, but it really made me think that we have to do as much as we can to bring in the next generation of Inlandians. And you talked about the program you're going to be doing about book banning. I think that should be heavily marketed to high school students as well. Anything we can do to get them involved, I don't know, a seat on the board or whatever. Great.
But I know I'm looking at Carlos and Carlos wants to say something. Okay.
Yeah, to me, there's something very remarkable happened today, and let me address it for a moment. And I sit here, and I want to thank my friends in the deaf community. I am so envious of you, and the reason I'm so envious is I'm 89 years old and losing my hearing. I've only been able to understand about a third of what people have said through this sound system, but I don't have the bilingual skills to be able to understand your language. So I'm finding myself caught in the middle, and it drives home. And let me add one thing to this. I don't know how many of you have used the bathroom here. Now, at 89, I use lots of public bathrooms these days. I have never seen a bathroom design like this one. And I don't want to say everybody to run in there, but I suggest you look at that bathroom before you leave. And it struck me as something about Inlandia now. And I wrote down 6 words: understanding otherness, navigating boundaries, building bridges. And this has happened today in this room. And it's thanks particularly to my friends in the deaf community who are here and participated and watching as I watched the difference in the participation today because of the addition of more otherness. And otherness can be race and religion, ethnicity, different kinds of abilities, age, whatever it be. That Inlandia can be an enormous bridge building, community building kind of entity that it has been, but it could do more in that. And I'm seeing a theme emerging, and I'm sorry I carried on so long, but I wanted to get that out there because I think there's something here. And I can't put my finger on it, but I think it's a direction we ought to consider.
That is high praise coming from the godfather of multiculturalism in Riverside.
Yay!
So thank you, Carlos. I really appreciate all of you here today, all of us here virtually, and we're all here in the same room, even if you're in Chattanooga and Landers and Diamond Bar, and I think you're in Riverside, Cindy, right? Part of Riverside. You're not like off on the East Coast visiting family today.
No.
Okay.
My knee is out, so that's why I couldn't make it there. Sorry.
It's okay. There are lots of reasons why people couldn't be here today. I just really want to say thank you. And watch your email for follow-up discussions for this. I'll send out, if anybody has any notes that they would like to share with me to add to our collective notes, I would appreciate that. And with that, Nancy, do you want to say any final words?
I just, one thing, save the chat. Make sure you save the chat because there's good suggestions in there.
Yes, the chat should automatically save as well as the transcript. I'm relying on the transcript from the closed captioning today, so I can go through and capture some of what was said, especially from our groups.
I just want to thank everybody participating here and in person and via Zoom. And thank you, Katie and Janine, for all your wonderful work that you do every day for Inlandia and for our community. Thank you to the board members who are here, the former board members, the future board members who may be here. And I want you to all go out and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks, everyone. And big thank you to the Civil Rights Institute, Sabrina Gonzalez, and there for letting us use this wonderful room. And are we allowed to go out and take a look on our way out?
Please do, if you'd like to see the exhibit that is currently up, go take a look. Take a look at the bathrooms. And if anybody wants to take a donut or serve some coffee for the road, that would be highly advised. Yeah, but we have to adjourn now because we have to clean up and get out of the room because 100 people are showing up at noon and we need to be out of their way. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Great to see everybody here.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, bye, Joan. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Have fun in Boston.
Bye,
Oh, I will.
Thank you.
Heavy stuff. All right. Bye.
Okay.